Have you ever stopped to think about how a company, a thing, can sign a contract? Or how it can be sued in court? It's a little weird, right? Well, today, we're going to dive into this strange legal idea of corporate personhood, a concept that, believe it or not, shapes our entire economy. So let's just get right to it. Can a company, something that's really just a collection of assets and contracts, actually be a person? I mean, it sounds kind of bizarre, but in the eyes of the law, it's a reality we deal with every single day. The real question is, how did we get here? And is there maybe another way to think about all this? Well, it turns out a group of legal thinkers came up with a really bold, almost radical solution to this whole puzzle. It's called the purpose theory, and it pretty much challenges everything we think we know about what a corporation is.
Okay, before we go any deeper, we've got to get this key term down: juristic person. You can think of it like a legal magic wand. It's what allows something that isn't human, like a corporation, to have rights and duties, to sue and be sued, just like you or me.
So the champions of this purpose theory, two guys named Brins and Barker, they started with a really simple, almost obvious idea. Only human beings can be persons, period. And if that's true, it means corporations are not people. So what are they? Well, they called them subjectless properties, basically collections of assets that are just organized for a very specific purpose.
In this quote, it just perfectly captures their most revolutionary idea. A corporation isn't some kind of artificial person. Nope. It's an ownerless pile of stuff with a mission. It's a thing, a tool. It's not a being. And that, right there, completely reframes the entire conversation.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Ownerless ownership? How on earth does that work? It sounds like a total contradiction. But just think about it like a trust fund that's been set up to fund a scholarship forever. That money doesn't really have a human owner anymore, right? It's just dedicated to its purpose. It's a strange idea for sure, but it's not impossible.
And here's where it gets really interesting. This modern-sounding theory, it actually has super ancient roots. It wasn't dreamed up for modern corporations at all. It was actually designed to solve a very specific headache they had back in Roman law. So the problem was called hereditas jascens, which basically means a vacant inheritance. Imagine this. Someone dies, but their heir hasn't officially accepted the inheritance yet. There's this limbo period. So who owns the estate in the meantime? The purpose theory gave a clean answer. Nobody. It was a subjectless property that just existed for one purpose: to be passed on.
Okay, so this purpose theory offers this really neat, logical, elegant solution. It seems to solve the problem, right? But there's a huge hurdle, because in the real world, and especially in English law, this idea just runs smack into a brick wall. Let's take a look at why.
I mean, the contrast here could not be more stark. On one side, you have the purpose theory, which says a corporation is a thing, a tool. But on the other side, you have English law, which, through centuries of judges' decisions, has consistently said the exact opposite. A corporation is a person. Sure, it's a legal fiction, but it's treated as a person with its own identity, totally separate from its owners or its employees. So this conflict between this clean theory and messy reality, it kind of feels like a dead end. But what if we're all just asking the wrong question? One jurist came along and decided to completely shift the focus from what a corporation is to what it does.
So, does that mean this whole idea of purpose is just a failed academic exercise? Just a footnote in some dusty old law books? Well, not for everyone.
Not so fast, because a French jurist, a guy named Leon Duguet, he looked at this whole debate and decided everyone was missing the point. He wasn't interested in trying to define the will of a corporation. He cared about its function in society.
For Duguet, the entire goal of law is something he called social solidarity, basically making society work for everyone. So the legal test for any group, whether it's a corporation or a charity, becomes super simple. Does its purpose help society? Does it contribute to the social good? If it does, it gets legal protection. It's all about a collective purpose, not some imaginary collective will.
And all of this, it brings us right back to where we started. It brings us back to this central, enduring question that lawyers and philosophers and CEOs are still grappling with to this very day.
So let me leave you with this. When a corporation makes a decision, when it acts, who is truly acting? Is it an artificial person? Is it just a simple tool being used by people? Or is it something else entirely? The way we decide to answer that question has massive implications for everything from who's held responsible for corporate wrongdoing to the very nature of our economy.